it or not. But crypto is super community driven. If you get enough people to believe in something, the possibilities are limitless. Dogecoin fans are known for being fun and generous. They raise money for good causes and even sponsored a NASCAR driver. But the biggest boost came from celebrity endorsements. Elon Musk is a known advocate and lover of Dogecoin. He has historically hinted at the fact that Dogecoin will be the official currency for X. And crypto loves this. Positive news is usually a catalyst to drive up prices to record highs. Dogecoin shows how powerful community and social media can be in crypto. A coin that started as a joke is now worth billions of dollars. Cardano was created in 2015 by Charles Hoskinson, who helped also start Ethereum. But Cardano takes a unique approach. It's like the slow...
I got a bad feeling about all this. Huh? Feels like I'm never gonna see you again if you get yourself locked up now.
Come on, don't be like that. Even if I do get arrested, I won't say a word about your little side job. That's what you're worried about, right?
Yep. I might have to send someone to bump you off in prison if you rat me out.
Like you could pull that off. Aren't you busy dusting off Kuroiwa's boots?
I'm laying low, that's all.
Speaking of, I have a question for you now that you're off your leash. Why do they think I killed Shintani? They have to have a reason, right? You've got to know.
Well, funny enough, I don't. Kuroiwa won't share a shred of info with anyone but his closest partners. Not sure why.
Gotcha.
Now, get over to the prosecutor's office. Sorry, Jake. Gotta cover your own cab fare.
Yeah, I know.
The speed at which things are being built in crypto, it actually is putting Cardano at a disadvantage. Cardano has all the qualities to be a successful and useful chain. If it can carve out its niche, the sky is the limit. Chainlink. We have all these different blockchains, but what's the point if they can't communicate? Imagine if you have a smart contract on Ethereum that needs to know the weather. How does it get that info? That's where Chainlink comes in. It brings real-world data to the blockchain. Chainlink uses something called oracles. These are like messengers that fetch data from the outside world and bring it to smart contracts. This data could be anything: stock prices, sports scores, or even shipping info. But why is this important? Well, it makes smart contracts a lot more useful. For example, DeFi, Chainlink helps provide accurate price data. This is crucial for things like lending and trading. But the beauty of Chainlink is that it isn't tied to just one blockchain. It works with many different blockchains. This means it can help different blockchains communicate with each other. The link token is what powers the Chainlink network. The people who run Chainlink nodes get paid in link for the work. This helps keep the network running smoothly. Chainlink has some big plans for the future. You want to make it easier for regular companies to use blockchain technology. Chainlink is solving two fundamental issues in the blockchain world: cross-chain communication and off-chain data. The future is very bright. Toncoin was originally a project that was started by the founders from Telegram. We all know Telegram is a big messaging app with tons of users. At first, they wanted to make their own cryptocurrency for the app, but then they ran into trouble with the government and were forced to end Telegram's involvement. That's where Toncoin comes in. Since 2020, Toncoin has been ran completely by an independent community of developers to give the idea a second chance. Toncoin works with Telegram to bring crypto features to the app. When you use Telegram, you can now do things with Toncoin right in the app. You can send money to friends or buy things all while chatting. And what makes Toncoin special is that it's fast and cheap. You can send money as quickly as a message. And it costs very little to do. This makes it great for small payments.
I never thought reading glasses could be this smart and stylish.
I've been waiting to
Tossed out all my other glasses.
Rolling out the red carpet, huh?
Using me was hoping you'd lower your guard if I was the first person you saw here.
Man never changes. He loves his mind games.
Yagami, how did they convince you to come?
I heard your pal Anita wants to chat. And depending on what I say, he may or may not try to arrest me.
I'm not sure it'll be quite like that.
Huh? Then what's it gonna be?
That manifests over the course
Well,
years,
you're about
decades,
to get on the wolves.
and the reality is that the
Hey,
dynamic
puff you.
in the United
Good
States
luck.
and Russia since the end of the Cold
Excuse me. I brought y'all some.
Much appreciated.
On multiple levels, A lot of people have brought up that I called this pretty well, but this also isn't the
Huh.
only thing I've called.
Even the chief prosecutor's in on this.
That NATO would essentially
Please come
break
in.
down as we understand it, and you'll see it replaced by a new alliance system. One that's primarily going to be the European countries aimed against Russia, and another that's going
So
to be
these are the
wolves.
wolves.
Its allies.
A room full of prosecutors, huh?
I predicted the
Y'all
war
could be
in
censored.
Ukraine.
I believe Kuroiwa-san already told you this, but we want to talk to you about Shintani Sensei's murder. However, this is not important. We're not strangers or wolves. Just try to relax.
At this point, I've involved the 2024 election.
Yeah, relax. Right. I'm not telling you what you want to hear, though. You want me to say I killed Shintani, right? Sorry, not happening.
I'd like to see my Anglosphere prediction come true, but I've got just a
The burden of proof's on you, anyway. So why don't we start there? Why do you think I did it?
have to do with looking at long
Y'all give me Sensei.
and I tell people
Where were you on the night of Shintani Sensei's murder?
Answer my question with another question? That's not that very easy.
understand where the countries
Do you have an alibi for that even?
mentality of what they want, what they need, what they're afraid
Heard
of.
of a company called KJR? The place is a front for some Kansai Yakuza, Kyorai. On the night of the crime, it was near there with Captain Shiryu. No bad backstory, I'm sure.
And can you explain why Shintani Sensei's corpse was found in your office?
I was hoping you could tell me. Maybe the real killer could answer that for you.
Naturally. That's why I called you here.
Welcome. We have videos like this every week where we talk
Mind
about
if I interject?
politics, so be sure to subscribe.
Go right ahead.
Talk about what you'd like to see next, and stay tuned for more. If you'd like to join the community,
Yeah,
we do
yeah,
have a
sir.
public Discord server.
You stole a look at Shintani Sensei's call history before the police arrived, yes? Not long before his death, he placed a call to the Advanced Drug Development Center.
Having dealt with censorship,
Knowing that, you barged into the center and interrogated both Kido-san and Shono-san.
all members do gain
Why
access
would you
to
do
the
such a thing?
only Discord server where we can speak with
I
people.
wanted to figure out what made Shintani
back to
unheard,
regularly
who wanted her dead.
Is that
One of the
the
major
police
things to
to
take into
us?
consideration
I couldn't
is that the
believe
United
that.
States and
Or
Russia
the
have
prosecution.
zero conflicts of
After
interest.
all, you guys
Now,
have
what
a
do I
bad
mean by
habit
that?
of going
It's
after
that
the
the
wrong
direct
guy.
interests of the
Like
United
right
States
now.
as a specific entity. I'm not talking about the
I see.
grander scheme of
So
world
you
politics
mean
and the
to
alliances
imply
the
someone
United
else
States
killed
has
Shintani
established.
Sensei?
I'm talking about the
Do you have
U.S.
anything that could prove that claim?
Alliances, at the end of the day, are like relationships. Some are meant to be short and convenient, lasting long enough for you to not notice or be bothered by your partner's faults. Others, however, are
The
meant to
burden of
last.
proof
The
rests on the
partners complement
prosecution.
each other's
It's
strengths.
not my place to take on such a heavy responsibility.
There's no need to be like that, Yagami-san. As we said before, this isn't in court. It is be an honor to hear your thoughts on the matter.
Oh yeah? How about someone says please?
One partner is giving and the other is only taking. The alliance between the United
Please.
States and Western Europe
Great.
is a
I'll tell you what I know.
manifestation and a direct product of the Cold War situation, in which the European powers were destroyed by World War II. And there
Before
was
we
a
get to Shintani's murder, there were a few things we need to cover. 1 year ago, ADDC published a research paper on a new drug was developing called AD9.
From this
This
drug
drug has gained global recognition as the thing that may finally cure Alzheimer's disease.
all of these predictions
What
have
hasn't gained
Come here.
recognition is the fact that someone from the ADDC was murdered 6 months ago.
An ADC member murdered? Who?
What did you do with one remote?
She's a bowler remote.
A nurse by the name of Emi Terasawa.
Come on. Emmy died 3 years ago, not 6 months. I think you...
Hold on. The ADDC employee who got murdered was The vice director, Toru Hashiki. Hashiki was seen arguing with a strange man named Kamurocho before being found lying beaten in the street. He died in the hospital 3 weeks later. The culprit is still at large. Did you know of this case?
It's the first I've heard of it.
Understandable. It didn't make many headlines. Incidentally, this Hashiki guy had a pretty big secret.
Uh-huh.
Turns out he was working for the Kajihira Group, a massive construction company based out of Kansai. Kajihira was planning to redevelop the land the ADDC sits on. He'd already settled in with the Minister of Health. Had the Kyorai clan muscle in on the turf too. But the plan fell apart when 89 was announced. Kajihira ended up taking a pretty big hit. To the tune of 100 billion yen.
What?
That's when Hashiki came in, swearing to Kajihira that he'd scuttle 89, no matter what it took. Just before he was beaten half to death, Hashiki went out with another member of the ADDC. Someone deeply involved in the development of 89. Someone he thought he could manipulate. Take a look.
Director Kido is meeting Hashiki and Kamurocho?
Wait, I'm not sure I have that right.
Get your facts straight.
I'm sure you recognize this Izumida-san. 3 years ago, he testified about the murder that had taken place at the ADDC. He claimed he had seen the victim, a patient by the name of Walker, was still alive.
I remember him. You're referring to Dr. Shono.
Long-term trends, and I
He's
tell
also
people
the
to
head of
get
the
really
89
research. The bigger picture.
Hashiki was
A
really
lot of this stuff.
convinced that there was something fishy going on.
Understand where the countries have been. You understand the mentality of what they want,
He
what
thought
they
they'd
need, and what they're afraid of, what they're capable of doing, and a lot of this sort of comes together to paint a pretty clear picture of the direction in which things are. In this video, I want to go into a bit of depth, talking a bit more about why the United States and Russia are very likely to develop a partnership, even if not in the immediate future.
That doubt
This
doesn't sit
spans
well with those who
years
stood
or
to reap
decades.
massive
Because
profits
it's
on
implies
89's
that when you
development.
take all factors into
Are you
consideration,
implying
just
Hashki's
naturally
murder
makes
was
sense.
premeditated?
Tell the audience, Mr. Z here.
Sounds like we're finally on the same page, Izumida-san. I had the exact same thought. Taking all this into account, doesn't it seem like there really is something fishy about 89?
The community made subreddit with charts, maps, and more. And of course, if you'd like to help support the channel directly,
But let's
consider
get back to
becoming a
Shintani.
member or donating to us on
Just
Patreon.
before he was murdered, he called the ADDC and tried to get in touch with a very specific someone. Maybe that phone call provoked whoever was trying to hide the truth about 89. Shintani was an obstacle, just like Hashiki.
Let's get back to
He
our
had to make the move. What I'm saying is, there's a chance anyone who gets too close to learning the true nature of 89 is being murdered. And if you haven't investigated down that path, then one thing's pretty clear. You have a lot more work to do before you can arrest me. Wouldn't you say? Answer me, Izumida!
See.
If you still want to bring me in, let's see some proof. All these prosecutors, nobody's got any proof.
That's quite a theory, Yagami-san. Truly fascinating. There were details in there even we weren't aware of. You've clearly done your homework.
I'd be glad to hand over my findings if it'll help. After all, 89's practically a household name at this point. Lifting the lid on it might be too much for me to handle all on my own. And besides, I think I'd rather work with you than Izumida here.
You need to lose the attitude, Yagami.
Sorry, I need to take this. Yes, hello?
One of the major things to take into consideration is that the United States and Russia
Is that
have
so?
zero conflict conflicts.
Yes, you've done excellent work. Thank you.
Is that the direct interests of the United States as a specific entity.
Just so
but also
you're
in the
aware,
greater scheme of world
the
politics,
prosecution has made a coordinated effort for law enforcement. We've already submitted a request for the court to issue a
Alliances at
warrant.
the end of the day are like relationships.
I'm sorry for the call, but that was a verification of our request, you see.
Bothered by your partner's faults.
You're still gonna arrest me after all this, huh?
Partners complement each other's
Fortunately, you're not the one under arrest.
toes and up to the relationship.
I wouldn't celebrate.
An alliance like
We're not done with you just yet. It's in the interest of closing the case.
your partner want
Listen here,
that you can't have an alliance.
You know who Shintani's killer was?
Taking. The alliance between the United
It's
States
your old
and
friend.
Western Europe, a
AYABE.
relatively new manifestation and a direct
What?
product of the
Striations on the recovered bullet
the
are a
European
perfect
powers
match to his fire.
and there was a concern that
There's
the
no
Soviet
doubt.
Union would just move in and
He's the
control the whole continent.
Like it or not,
This,
it's
in and
going
of
down.
itself, is also sort of
That's crazy.
a manifestation of things that began from the special relationship that emerged between the U.S. and Britain. The British had essentially established something of a special relationship with France after they had been defeated by the Prussians in the Franco-Prussian War. France had lost quite a bit of its prestige after that, and the two essentially teamed up to have this counter
In the
against
roaring
Germany.
din of the city of death, the AYABE's vice director heard made a sound. Behind his death are the vast profits of the AYABE drug.
And of course they end up winning, but what's the
Yagami arrives at the possibility that all the deaths were premeditated.
great power in Europe. Someone has to fill that
But the
back.
prosecution's eye for such detail is wanting, and Detective AYABE is indicted for Shintani's murder.
Special relationship with, except this time in the aftermath of World War II, Britain assumed the role of France and became the junior partner to the U.S. The United States had it's in that role that Britain had a global peace, a trade empire, of leader of the liberal democratic world order.
Striations on the recovered bullet are a perfect match to his fire.
Intensified during the Cold War.
There's no doubt.
The Soviets were an
He's
ideological
the one. Like it or not, he's going down.
on the continent to threaten the United States. The Soviets aren't necessarily trying to annex any territory that belongs to the United States.
Apologies for keeping you in the dark.
What they both want.
It was imperative for AYABE to be completely oblivious to our suspicion of him,
Spread
after
that all
all.
across Europe, and if it takes over Europe,
This is a murder charge against an active officer.
so the United States
To
and
put it
Britain
plainly,
is saying,
it takes more effort to actually make an arrest.
keep Europe prevent the spread of
So,
communism and ultimately
we had
eradicate
to pretend you were our primary suspect.
invested in this
You and I have gotten to be pretty cozy these
to the point
days.
that by the end of the Cold War, once
Suspecting you was the perfect way to divert his attention.
to just go back to the way things were. No, at this point, the United States believed
So this
that
was
they
all
could
some
have
kind
a
of act.
better world
An
by
act.
liberalizing things both
Not
socially
at
and
all, I
economically,
assure
as well
you.
as democratizing.
And I believe you should know.
That did not
We're
wish
aware of
to
AYABE's side job.
any countries that were resistant or hostile.
AYABE was an informant, a spy. He was selling police intel on the black market.
The reality
We
of the
plan to
situation
investigate those
is
transactions
that the
thoroughly.
United States had built
Judgement.
this global world order. Tools that were meant to keep the Soviets at bay,
And
like
so,
the United
it
Nations.
wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if we see you again in the near
National
future.
democracy, like NATO. All these essential tools of political warfare. Well, after the war was done, they didn't go away. Because the U.S. now saw, well,
Speak of the devil, we were just talking about you.
basically
AYABE.
we have a significant amount of influence and power that we might as well use it to protect. We have an obligation. We have an exceptional ideology.
I killed Shintani.
Project this to the rest of the
Me.
world. Now, the
Me.
Russians, after the fall of the Soviet Union, were on
You're
hold.
not
They
surprised.
had to recover. They had to figure a lot
No
of
way.
things out.
I
That was
already
understandable.
heard.
And while there were some
I'm
growing
sitting
pains,
here with the prosecution as we speak.
very adamant about
Yeah.
with the American world
They're
order.
looking right
Yeah,
at
a
it.
figure like Boris Yeltsin, who was on board for the liberalization
Please,
and for the
Yagami, you have to communicate. I don't know where else to turn.
and that's because of two
Okay.
factors. One is
I'll
essentially
do
the factor that emerged.
It's
from
only
the
fair after all you've done.
The defeated power, Germany, well,
We can talk more
we
later.
can,
I'll be
make
there soon.
amends and have peace between us, or we can punish them for causing us all this trouble. And That was the mentality, not all Americans, but many politicians in the
So,
United States
I'll see
had
you
about
in
it.
court then.
And they thought, well, the Russians,
Who do you have on the job?
will never be our
Is it
enemies,
me?
so we'll treat them basically as a defeated power. We'll try to take advantage of them, their
Someone
resources,
says
their
he's
wealth,
prosecuted.
whatever it might be. And initially, figures like Boris Yeltsin were on board
No matter who that
saw it
person
as something of
is,
a necessary sacrifice to get to the good graces
I'm
and
not
raise Russia's
leaving.
standard of living. But the result was the opposite. Russia's standard of living continued to decline. The adoption of economic policies created by Western experts saw the government's public sectors bought up
So
on
that's the
mass
story,
by
boys,
government
I would say.
capitalism, directly leading to the
We're
rise
gonna
of
take
Russia's
the
influential
case.
oligarchs, while simultaneously crippling Russia's military and resource sector and essentially leading a country paralyzed. And then the
Yep.
geopolitical
I'm heading
factors
over
came
right
to
now.
play. When the Russians tried to defend their ally of Serbia against a bombing raid by NATO, well, they were disparaged for it. When the Russians tried to crack down upon an insurrection within their country in the form of the Chechen War, well, again, the West penalized them for it. The sentiment began to emerge within Russia that the West didn't actually want them as an ally or as a friend. The West wanted Russia weakened and subservient. Boris Yeltsin was increasingly seen as more just a pawn of the West, or someone who was too friendly to the West, and eventually he would be succeeded by Vladimir Putin. Now, in the very early days, Putin wasn't this anti-Western figure that a lot of people see him as today. Much like Yeltsin, Putin believed that there could be